So let's talk about how to make these silhouettes in Photoshop. I am going to show you Photoshop in particular just because you probably have that in other classes. That being said, a lot of the same concepts that we use in Photoshop can be applied to Sketchbook Pro and PaintStorm Studio as well. First off, let's talk about what file we're going to make. Eventually, what I would like to do is print these out and we can hang them up somewhere. So I'm actually going to make a file that's ready for print. I'm going to go over to my Photoshop CC, and I'm going to go to File, New, and I get all of these lovely options, right? So I want custom, all of these are presets, and you can save your own presets too. It will give you that option. That's what this little thing that says, "Hi, I'm going to put you on my hard drive" is. I'm going to name this file Ready Silhouettes, because you really need to include your last name on every single thing that you turn in, and you also need to signify what project it is. Those of you who are not taking my course that for some reason may be watching this video, this is just a good naming method for your everyday practice. So I have my resolution set to 300. That's because I want to print this out eventually. You should never print something out lower than 150 resolution, and even that is really pushing it. 300 is a good number. Some people like 600. That's a lot of pixels. I think 300 serves most purposes. I'm going to make it the size of a standard sheet of paper. If I ever wanted to flip-flop, like right now it's set to landscape and you can see my width is the longest part and my height is the shortest part, by just clicking the portrait that will switch the two. But I want it to stay at 8.5 by 11 horizontally, a size of a typical piece of printer paper. I'm going to hit create. This checkered background means it's transparent, so I'm going to give it a background. I like working on a light gray background. Oh, I skipped a step, you guys. Let's go back here. Let's delete this layer. So, just in case if some of you don't know, I'm going to show you a video that gives you basic navigational skills in Photoshop. But this is your layer window, this is your toolbar. Those are the main things that you need. My layer window is where all the magic happens. Now, this is just a regular layer that I have right now. And you should never work on your first layer, which is usually going to be a background layer. I'm going to come down to this half and half symbol. These are adjustment layers, and I like working with them. And I'm going to go to solid color. Now, a color picker is going to come up, and I'm going to pick a nice light gray. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to the half and half symbol, make another solid color layer, and pick black. Now, you can see that I can't see my background color, right? Well, see these little white boxes next to it that I'm clicking on? These are called masks, and they tell the computer what you want to show through and what you don't want to show through. When they're white, that means everything's showing through. What is white shows through. When they're black, nothing shows through. So I could either come over here to my paint bucket tool, which fills pixels that look the same with a color or a pattern. Make sure that my foreground color, this is your foreground color, the one behind it is your background color, is on black and white, and just fill it in. Or I can hit the hotkey Command I as in inverse, while I have this mask selected, and that will automatically do this. Bam! Bam! And invert the mask. So I'm going to click on my paintbrush tool, and I want to make sure I have my mask selected and that my foreground and background color are black and white. I have a little arrow here. This switches my foreground and background color. I want my foreground to be white and my background to be black. So when I paint, I get black, and that's pretty awesome. If I want to erase, I can just switch the tool to and paint with black. It's a lot easier to click this little button and go back and forth between your foreground color and background color than it is to go back and forth between the brush and the eraser tool. So that's why we're using adjustment layers with masks. When you're setting up to be able to draw these silhouettes, it's important to have a measuring tool. I'm going to create a little line across the bottom. I'm also going to create little ovals on the side that stand for how many heads tall my characters are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. I don't have to abide by these 110%, but they are helpful.